think you know where I was born. I live in Asbury now. I'm not clear on the ordinance. Is there a chance you could clarify me on it?
Sure. When we had a request for the transfer of a license, and when we went in and
Transfer of
a liquor license, and when we went in and looked at the liquor license statute, we realized that there was actually a typographical error in it. It sought to establish a 1,000-foot requirement between licenses, but actually it removed it. So we needed to correct the ordinance, but we also needed to deal with the issue of if you have a permitted use where an eating establishment or a drinking establishment is permitted in a zone, it was a recommendation of the planning department that the 1,000-foot restriction doesn't make any sense, that we're really only concerned about those, clustering them in non-permitted zones. So we corrected the ordinance to deal with that issue also.
Okay. I guess if I can with the city attorney, I guess there's a lot of, relative to bars and clubs and liquor licenses in Asbury and Long Branch, kind of sister cities, being the only two cities in the county, they tend to, with economic times, tend to rely on, I guess, what's called sin economy, like bars and clubs. So right now in Asbury, we're up to 48. And what we notice is that when the push is on to get the revenue, usually the city council, the city attorneys, mayor, etc., they tend to move around like restrictions so that, for example, McClune's in Asbury has a liquor license. So then they want to open up an Iron Whale restaurant, which is really at the other end of the building. It's not connected. And then they get turned down by the city because you're not allowed to do that. But then they appeal it to the state, and now they got the Iron Whale and McClune's on one liquor license. And then you got Bond Street, one license. Then it gets a Mexican restaurant, Capital Line on Main Street. They're not even connected. And then they open up a bar underneath Cookman Avenue in an old sewer pipe or whatever it was. So the point is, why are these two cities historically, and I'm born in one and raised and live in the other one, always obsessed with sin economy businesses? Like you just passed an ordinance to do away with either, I think, put 2-hour parking at the end of 2nd Avenue. Now we know why, because in the summer that bar that you just opened gets very crowded, and the residents who are using that are in the patron's way. So why don't we just change the ordinance, put 2-hour, and now the cigar smoking, weed smoking customers can come in and displace the residents. And I know it sounds offensive, but everybody knows bars and clubs in Asbury are obsessed with marijuana, cigars, cigarettes, sin economy, violence, sex, which is very indicative of a sex economy. So the question is, I'm wondering, with Lower Broadway still sitting flat, with Long Branch trying to mimic Asbury in terms of sin economy, does that mean that it's safe to say that when I come here, and I hope I keep coming here for another 28 years, when I keep coming here, I'm always going to hear another bar, another ordinance, another resolution to kind of like keep accommodating the sin economy. In other words, can't we learn from the mistakes of Asbury, the second most dangerous place in the state, mostly from crime bars and clubs, and maybe try and bring back the motif of family businesses? So maybe you can say, gee, let's make an ordinance to increase that retail clothing store. They're not supposed to have another one next door, but let's change that resolution. Instead of always hearing like bars and liquor and then you go on national TV that you're part of a governor's smoking ban, and yet you go to all these bars and clubs, and I don't mean you, and I don't mean me, but can I finish?
What does it have to do with this?
Well, I don't care. I think it has to do with the ordinance. So what are you going to do? You're going to stop me?
Sir.
Go ahead.
So I'm saying to you.
I know, but listen, he was listening, so I don't know why you're interrupting.
Because I'm the council president. I'm not interrupting you.
That gives you the right to interrupt me.
I'm trying to have one in order.
You don't think I'm talking about the liquor license?
Not about this. this ordinance, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Is that my time?
Yes, sir.
It is. Thank you. I think you should stop interrupting people.